watching on how to build an island, or pretty much how to put an island together. And I'm just gonna go over tips and tricks for you instead of you watching a 20-minute video, because most of you guys already have a good concept on what to do. But it's good to get some other input from other builders and stuff like that. I flip them over upside down on their bottom, back, but make sure that your floor is very flat. If it's not, get a 4x8 sheet of OSB, Luan, something like that, and check your level. Because when you flip it over, you want your countertop to be perfectly leveled. So I always build them upside down. Okay, some things I'm gonna talk about. So you got this little 1/4 inch on each end. So when you put them together, go around on this side, there's no 1/4 inch there. So what I've done is I've sliced 2 sheets of 1/4 inch Luan, and I'm gonna slide those in between there. I've cut them perfect to size. Sorry, I'm trying to take this video and record at the same time. This is gonna make up for that gap. Also, I'm gonna make this island so it can move around if needed. What I'm doing is building a support system under here. I'm gonna use 4 pieces of wood going in a circle in each one, and then I'm gonna connect the sidewalls together. And make sure that you got the right tools, because the right tool is gonna make a big difference. Having clamps, liquid nails. Do not finish off your back end, because I got a 4x8 sheet. And also I got some sidewalls in here that are gonna go on the side. Those go last, and so does your trim and your back wall. Being that if you need to adjust something, don't go and start getting excited and putting on your sidewalls. If you did purchase those, it's a lot. I think it was $600 for each sidewall. They just charge you a lot for stuff for cabinetry, but I used liquid nails. I used Gorilla Glue or wood glue. Any wood glue will do. And you're gonna mount it on the wall if you're gonna do what I'm doing. I'm going that extra step so I could move it around, slide it around. Using a nail gun. So what I did is I used the glue gun over here. I took my level to make sure that everything is level. And then I lifted this up so that it's level to the highest point. You can see this one, they're never perfect, so I got almost a 1/4 inch gap right there. So the highest point, which would be those sidewalls, and I lifted it up, and then I shot a nail gun into it about probably like 15 times. So now this is well supported. Maybe I can show you this one right here real quick. You can see that that's perfectly leveled, and it's all the way to the highest point. It's a 2-pack. This was at Menards, if you guys got those big hardware stores by you, but it's a giant sticky pad, and all I'm gonna do is place this on the 2x4 and cut it. So all around the 2x4, it's gonna have this thick padding. So it's gonna be off the ground about that 1/4 inch, but it's gonna smush it to almost half that. So you're hardly gonna be able to tell, and if you ever need to move this around, you can. Obviously, if you're gonna add an electrical outlet, like this previous island had an electrical outlet on it, then you're not gonna be able to move it. It is sitting on a floating floor, so if you do have a floating floor, you need to make sure if you're gonna mount your island on the floor, that you need to cut that floor out, because it expands and contracts for people that don't know that. So you'll have to cut right around your island about a 1/4 inch distance away, and then trim it out with some shoe or something like that. You want your island to float around with some wheels. Building this support system with 2x4s, just build a square and mount in those wheels and just adjust them to the right height. You can do that also. Once you clamp this together, you can see I put in that piece of Luan, 2 pieces of 1/4 inch. I went on the back end over here. Before you start putting these two together, you need to make sure that it's leveled. You need to make sure you're happy with how it's gonna sit on the floor. And you can see that 2x4 that I have in there, that I built the support system with, is slightly higher. That is because the cabinets, when they came in, are slightly higher there, but not on the back end. So I built a perfect support system when I do lay it on the floor. This is all flush. Come around to the other side before you start pre-drilling. You need to think about how your cabinet is gonna look in the front. This is so perfect, I can't even feel a bump. That's where I want it. That's when I clamped it. Don't overdo it, you'll snap it, because there's no support in between here. Unless you wanna put some in, you really don't have to, because when I open this cabinet up, and I'm gonna put some probably right here. I'll probably put in about 2 of them. That should be enough, maybe 3. Right in here. Make sure that you get cabinet screws. I'll show you the previous one right here. This is where they had it screwed into the other piece. You can see they've only put 1 on these wall cabinets, but being that it's an island and I'm gonna have it floating, I'm probably gonna use about 3 in mine. If you don't want your screws to show, it can be hidden inside of here. Well, not completely hidden, but more out of the way. You'd have to build support like I did with the Luan over there, placing about a few pieces right in here, and then you could screw obviously 1 right here, and you could put some on the inside where it would hardly be visible deep in there. These tips that I wrote down real quick in the video, if you've got this put together on the back end, before you start screwing, you're gonna wanna check something like a straight edge, put a piece of drywall behind it, a 4x8 sheet behind it, and see how it sits. Right now, I'll try to hold this still for you guys. You can see it is flush all the way down the line, so that way I know my cabinet is leveled. I'm gonna come over here to my list, and that's number 1. Put a piece of drywall behind the island to see if it's straight or a level or a straight edge. Number 2, 2x4 on the side wall. Both cabinets, regardless whether you're gonna have it float or not, you're gonna wanna do this setup right here to connect them together, to mount them together. Number 3 is a level, so you're gonna need that. Build the island upside down on a level surface. You already saw that in the beginning. Use clamps before you pre-drill. So make sure that you clamp it, make sure you like it, and take a drill bit and pre-drill your screws. Don't just start screwing in screws in there. You're gonna have cracking and all kinds of stuff. Shifting, you don't know what can happen. Wood glue, make sure you got wood glue. Nail gun only where the trim covers, meaning that you're only gonna shoot nails where your trim is gonna cover in the future. If you have to, you can have the paint to cover it up. This little filler right here to cover that up, that fills it in. If you rub it on, it's like a thick paste. Make sure that you have some type of filler, but also just make sure that you can cover it up and patch up those holes. But to avoid all that, do it where trim's gonna lay. Right now I'm gonna have a 4-inch piece of trim going all around this, and on the back wall, on the side walls, like I told you, I bought these big giant squares. You'll see those in the end. When both cabinets are solid, that means when I screw them in together, place the 4x8 whiteboard on the back before mounting the sidewalls, meaning that I have a 4x8 sheet that's gonna go on the back of this, and before I put those sidewalls on here, which come out even further, in order to get a perfect cut on that, I'm gonna wanna place that on the back, measure it, and cut it down before I put those sidewalls on, because once I put the sidewalls on, it's gonna be very difficult to capture that distance in there, being that these mounted walls that go on the end caps are already on there. The sidewalls go on last. 2 pieces of 1/4 inch, put those together, and I'm gonna slide them in here so I could put these together and it could have the support that's needed, because if you try to screw this in right now, this will buckle. Gotta have it solid. Drill 2 holes here and here, going through this to the Luan. Make sure that your screw is gonna reach the other end so it could actually get that support needed. Try to have an impact drill, because getting those long screws through there is a little difficult unless you pre-drill it all the way through. Placing it over here and cutting it out from behind it. Everything perfectly leveled. I'm going that extra mile because it is going to be a moving island, and I'm going to put glue all the way around. You can see where I put that glue, just in case because this is going to be moving around, we want to make it even stronger than it already is at the factory. More of that felt padding around the edging of the bottom here to lift it up flush. So I put some like right around there, and then I put some right around here on the bottom side. Right now I'm just fixing this because it came in cracked. Not real happy. This is from Home Depot. I'm not real happy with how they make you pay $12,000 for a new kitchen, and then they wrap it up, and when you get it, it's got some little blemishes and defects and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm going that extra mile again to secure wood glue and stuff like that. I don't know if you have to do that, but if it's going to be moving around, like I said, it has the option to float around I've added wood glue in any of the joints that I see. It's not gonna hurt, it could only help. I'm almost ready to screw in one side of this. Then I'm gonna bring in the 4x8 sheet and measure it, cut that, and then put the other side wall after I put that in. Also, I purchased a piece of trim that's gonna go along the bottom just to make it look nice. This is a Luan, about 3 inches wide. You can see that's gonna make it flush when I put that sidewall in here. So I'm gonna place this on the back and we're gonna nail gun it into there. Placed and mounted. 4 shots with nail guns, 2 there and 2 there. Sidewall on, and I've clamped it and I'm pre-drilling right behind the drawer. There's 1 here, and I'm putting 3 more into this sidewall. And then I'm also gonna put 3 more on that side inside the cabinets at the back wall. Probably put about 3 or 4 more in there, and this will be solid. The reason this extends out because the granite that's gonna go over this will have an empty space behind it, and you can put stools and slide them up under it, and then the kids can eat on the back side. Pretty cool idea. Liquid nails all on the back side of this. I got 1 piece mounted over here. I'm ready to slide this giant sheet. I think it's like a 5x10 or something like that, of Luan that's been painted white. I'm gonna slide it over. I'm gonna nail gun where the trim is gonna go over at the bottom, and then I'm gonna use my oscillator tool with a new blade to cut it on the back side, and it's gonna cut it so smooth and perfect, it can't get any better than that. All right, we're ready to cut this flush with the oscillator. Here, and you can see this is flush. Make sure that wherever you're going to put your sidewall, that is flush and perfect. So when you put it next to it, it just looks perfect. I'm also going to use some white caulk and caulk that line right there. And I'm going to caulk that line up there. You could add trim if you want to match like that, but the customer's pretty happy with putting in just caulk. Just finished this all up. I caulked all of this. If you guys never caulked before, spread your caulk out like that, dip it in water, a little bit of dish soap, and it will glide through. Have some paper towel ready, but we're gonna call this thing done right here. All assembled, and just showing you how it looks now. Coming around the side over here, nice sidewalls. Everything is flush and level. If you follow what I told you guys to do, you won't have an issue. So that's about it. Home Depot sells these if you're interested in the same model. I think it was $12,500. They put them on sale every month for about 30% off. So I ended up paying about $9,000 total. I bought the hardware off of eBay. That's coming a lot cheaper on there for their handles and hardware. And pretty much the same stuff. So that's it. If this video helped you out, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.